So now when writing parallel and perpendicular equations, it's the same thing that we did before. We're going to be given a point and given a slope, and we have to put it into point-slope form. But we need to remember that parallel equations have the same slope, and perpendicular equations have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if we look at examples 1 and 2, we're going to be writing parallel equations. So example 1, write the equation of a line that passes through the point -2, 7 and is parallel to the line -4. So go ahead and circle that slope, -4. That's the slope that we're going to be using in our equation. And then we have, so our m is going to be equal to -4. Our point, -2, 7, is our x1, y1. So if we put that into the y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1 equation, y minus y1 is 7 is equal to m, which is -4, times x minus the x1, which is -2. If we simplify, minus a negative, we have to distribute the -4. Y minus 7 is equal to -4x minus 8. Add the 7. You get that y equals -4x minus 1. If we look at example 2, write an equation of the line that passes through the point 3, -1 and is parallel to the line x minus 3y equals 9. So my point 3, comma, -1, that's my x1, y1. But I don't have my slope yet. So I have to solve the equation for y. Bring down -3y is equal to -x plus 9. Then divide everything by -3. We get that y is equal to 1/3 x minus 3. So circling my slope, y is equal to 1/3 x. So there's my slope. And then substitute it in. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Substitute in y minus -1 is equal to 1/3 times x minus 3. Going to distribute the 1/3. Minus a negative turns into a positive 1, so it's y plus 1 is equal to 1/3 x. 1/3 times a -3 is going to be -1. Subtract 1 from both sides. You get that y equals 1/3 x minus 2. It's just putting together everything we've been doing for the last couple weeks. If you think you're just going to skate by and not have to remember things, that's not how algebra works. So let's look down. Now it wants us to find perpendicular equations. So writing perpendicular equations. Write the equation of a line that passes through the point 4, 3 and is perpendicular to the line y equals 2x minus 4. So my point 4, 3, that's my x1, y1. The original slope was 2, but because I want perpendicular, remember it's the opposite reciprocal. If my slope was 2, I'm going to change it into a fraction by putting it over 1. It's a positive number, it has to change signs and flip the fraction. My new slope is -1/2. That's the only step that's different between parallel and perpendicular. You just have to make sure it's a perpendicular slope. So now y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So we do y minus 3 is equal to -1/2 x minus 4. So if you bring down the y minus 3 is equal to, you're going to distribute the -1/2. You get -1/2 x. Negative times a negative is a positive. 1/2 times 4 is 2. You're going to add 3 to both sides. You get that y, sorry, let's scoot it up. Y equals -1/2 x plus 5. Why don't you go ahead and try example 4? And then do the practice problems.